folks online and folks here a heads up that we have this being live streamed on Somali Health Board and Somali Bridge. Next slide. So this is our agenda today. We already did our mingling and networking. We're going to start with a poetry reading from Najib Abi. He is with the GAS Foundation, and he'll come up and give us a poem about this topic. Ready? Thank you so much. Give him a warm welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. How's everyone doing? MashaAllah. My name is Najib Abi. I'm the founder of the GAS Collective. It's a literary nonprofit with the goal of highlighting the voices of marginalized groups through poetry and creative writing. Inshallah, I'll be sharing a poem today called Sugar. I wrote it from the perspective of a close friend of mine who passed away, Allah Haristo. He struggled with substance use and addiction, and writing the poem from his perspective was something that required a lot of empathy. It required me to step out of my own shoes and step into his, and try to understand what substance use and addiction was like from his perspective. And I think that's something that we all need to do if we truly want to reduce the stigmas that surround substance use. But my poem is called Sugar. Bismillah. We were perfect for each other, the one to pick me up when I was low, but little did I know you'd think of stopping, then I wouldn't go. Dependent on your touch, it's like you stuck yourself onto my soul, the sunlight to my leaves, but can you give me what I need to grow? Can you give me what I need to be the person that I'm meant to be, or ever guarantee you'll let me go and one day set me free? Can you look me in my eyes and say there'll be a day you'll let me breathe? Can you throw away your lies and feed me something more than something sweet? I know that you're no good, but I can't help but always turn your way. I love the way you taste. You show me sunshine on a rainy day. You fly me to the sky. Among the clouds I suddenly deflate, then shatter on the ground. To be a million pieces is my fate. You rob me of my eyes and make me think that everything is lost, corrupt all of my thoughts and take my legs away so I can't walk. You lie to me and tell me you're the one to make the hard times soft. You say you'll give me peace, but it's not free. My soul is what it'll cost. And every time you leave, I face a moment of reflection, a temporary tear in the thread of our connection. I see only for a second that your goal is misdirection, then the veil goes back up and I forget all of my questions. I used to think about you all the time, so sure that you could please me. You poured into me, but just like broken glass, I was leaky. You looked in my eyes and told me till the day you die, you'll need me. I used to pray the day came where I was on the floor bleeding. I don't want to need you anymore, and I want nothing else to do with you. I understand that you're a test, and I will melt inside the crucible. I can see behind your mask, you're poison but act beautiful. I see through you just like glass, and I'm past chasing my funeral. But who am I without you? What kind of person do I want to be? What principles should guide me through the kind of life I'd like to lead? A 114-chaptered book that gives me what I need to walk and breathe on the right path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. And in the end, I want my grave to be peaceful. The grass should grow around me and the birds should be gleeful. I want to breathe straight from heaven to protect me from all evil, then to reunite in Jannah and live easeful with my people. Sugar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Najib. That was beautiful and powerful. MashaAllah. All right. We have another story here today from a brother at Rahma Recovery. Let's give him a warm welcome, and he will share his story with us and introduce himself a little bit.
I'm blind, but I just need some glasses right now at this point. Yeah. Yeah, breaking the stigma, my journey of recovery. Introduction, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdurraq Guyo, and I stand before you today not as someone who's perfect, but as someone who has been broken, rebuilt, and blessed with a second chance. I am honored to represent Rahma Recovery Center, a faith-based recovery community that has been a light for me and many others, the beginning of struggle. My journey into addiction began after a painful separation from my wife. At the time, we had a 2-year-old daughter. Instead of facing my pain, I tried to numb it with alcohol. What I thought was coping soon became destruction, not just for me, but for my family, my friends, and my community. From alcohol, I spiraled into smoking weed, then selling and using harder drugs, crack, cocaine, meth, heroin, and blues. My life became a circle of hustling, selling, using, and surviving. I was in and out of jail, losing track of my time, losing my dignity, and almost losing my soul. Every dollar I made turned into more pain. I thought I was gaining, but in reality, I was burying myself and others deep into fire of addiction. The consequences, I have seen my community suffer. I've witnessed overdose, lives lost, violence over corners, customers and plugs. Addiction doesn't just destroy the individual, it destroys families, neighborhoods, and futures. And in my darkest times, I realized that the biggest weight I carried was not the drugs to myself, to my loved ones, and to the people who believed in me. The turning point, I went to rehab many times, but because it was cold out, I was not ready. You can't force me to stop something I started. I can only do that to myself. So I was never truly committed. You can't be forced to heal. You have to choose. You have to choose it. My turning point came when I finally decided on my own that I was done. I wanted my life back. I wanted my family back. And I knew this was not the reason my parents brought me into this world. Through tears, mine and others, I found my way back. Alhamdulillah, by the mercy of Allah, I've now been sober for 3 years. Recovery and purpose. Today, I'm a house manager at Rahma Recovery Center. I work every day to give back what I once took away. I help others by teaching how to administer Narcan and save lives, offering life skill training so people can rebuild their future, attending AA, NA, because every meeting counts, farming with our recovery community and selling fresh produce at the farmer's market, showing our neighborhood that we can choose healthy and honest living, and breaking the stigma. One of the biggest battles is not just the drug itself, it's the stigma. People in recovery are often looked at with shame, but recovery is about courage, resilience, and faith. We need to say no to stigma and yes to community, healing, and hope. Conclusion, my story is not just about my past. It's about what's possible. Recovery is possible, healing possible, change is possible. I am a living proof. To anyone struggling, you're not alone, and to anyone watching loved ones struggle, never stop praying, never stop believing, because as long as there's a breath, there's a hope. Alhamdulillah for my journey, and thank you. Thank you for following me to share it today. And I do have another conclusion over here at the end. I just throw it down what I was saying. To our youth who are struggling, do it for yourself. Do it for your family. The moments when your loved ones look at you and saw you broken, they were breaking right alongside with you. But healing begins with even the smallest steps. Fixing one thing, even something simple like a chair or a tablecloth, is you fixing yourself to every small repair, is a piece of your life being put back together. Thank you, guys.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you, brother. MashaAllah. That was another powerful story. Following that, we have our sister, Ubah Farah, also sharing her story about substance use disorder and her journey. Can you hear online folks?
Assalamu alaikum. How is everybody? Good. Okay. So, first off, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story. I don't stand before you as a perfect person. I stand here as a survivor, a mother, and someone who has walked through pain and addiction and recovery. My hope is that by telling my truth, I can reach even one person who may be struggling and remind them that there's always hope, even in the darkest of places. My story doesn't start here. It starts in Africa, in Somalia. In 1991, when I was a child, a civil war broke out in my homeland. The life I knew, the land of my ancestors, my home, it was torn apart by violence. Like so many families, mine was displaced. We ended up in a refugee camp in Nairobi, Kenya. That camp is where I grew up, where I learned to survive and become a survivor. Before I even learned childhood, in 1998, at 8 years old, I came to America, a new country, a new life, a new language, and new struggles. As I grew older, I faced battles inside of me that I didn't have words for. In my mid-20s, I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 and PTSD. PTSD from the war, PTSD from losing my father to violence, bipolar disorder that I didn't know how to live with. Back then, we didn't talk about mental health, and not in my culture, not in my family. We just survived. But when we carry that much pain and silence, eventually it spills out. And my escape became substances. At first, just alcohol with my friends, a casual little marijuana here and there, but pain grows, you know. So did my addiction, and so soon it was opioids and then heroin. Before I even knew, heroin had my life, and my life was already complicated enough. At 16 years old, I became a mother. I was still a child myself, raising a child. And then at 23 years old, my world broke again. My mother, the woman who gave me life, my rock, took her life and died by suicide. That moment shattered me. Instead of me seeking help, I sank deeper into addiction. I thought heroin was the only way to escape the unbearable weight of her loss, but heroin wasn't an escape, it was a prison. When I became pregnant with my daughter, I was already in the grips of opioids. Heroin had its claws in me. I wanted to stop, God knows I did, but I couldn't. But addiction doesn't let go that easily. At 22 weeks pregnant, I was still struggling, and then something shifted. Carrying her inside of me gave me a fight I didn't know I still had. My daughter saved me before she was even born. One day I was so dope sick, shaking, crying, begging for relief. In that moment of despair, I prayed. I said, God, I can't do this anymore. Please help me. That prayer led me to Harborview Medical Center. There I met a social worker, an angel in disguise. She asked me, if I get you in a bed, a treatment center, would you go? For the first time in a long time, I said yes. That yes changed my life. Treatment was not easy. Detox was brutal. The cravings was unbearable. The nights that I thought I would die, but every time I thought of giving up, I remembered the heartbeat inside of me. I was just fighting for myself anymore. I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. I was fighting for her. Step by step, day by day, I passed through with faith, support, and a reason bigger than my pain. 6 years of sobriety, that's what she gave me. That was the beginning of my 6 years of sobriety. That's what she gave me. That was the beginning of my recovery journey. And today I can stand before you and say I have 6 years of sobriety from opioids. 6 years of learning who I am without drugs, 6 years of rebuilding my life, 6 years of being a mother for my children that deserve, and my daughter, and she's 6 years old today. Yes, she's 6 years old. Yeah. Every year she grows, it's another year I celebrate my freedom. No. 6 years. 6 years of recovery, years I celebrated my freedom. But my story isn't just about me. Addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about the color of your skin, where you're from, or how many money you have. It destroys families. It thrives in silence. That's why I'm here, because silence kills, stigma kills, and honesty and community and compassion, those save lives. So to anyone who's here who may be struggling or have family members struggling, please hear me. You're not alone. You are not weak, and your story's not over. I came from war. I came from loss. I came from addiction, but I also come into recovery, into motherhood, into strength I didn't even know I had. If I can stand here today free from heroin, raising my child, and living a life full of gratitude, then so can you. All it takes is one word, one moment, and one courageous yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ubah. And let's give another warm welcome and applause to our three folks that shared their stories today. It takes a lot of courage to be that vulnerable, and the impact that you guys are making, we are so grateful for. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to get started and begin our panel discussion, but before we do, I just want to give a disclaimer. This is a safe space, and we're going to listen to each other without judgment and respect each other. Also, this is going to be a heavy topic, so if anybody needs to take a break periodically, please take care of yourselves, and you are more than welcome to do so. All right. Let's have our panelists come up. We'll do an introduction of everybody. We'll have Abdullahi Jarano and Hussein Ugas and Liban Yusuf and Ubah Farah. Yes, beautiful. Wa alaikum assalam. So we are going to go around and do introductions, your name, your background, and how you connect with substance use disorder and mental health in general. Is it through your profession, lived experience? And inshallah, we'll get started with Abdullahi Jarano.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. As the sister mentioned, thank you for facilitating and really coordinating things. My name is Abdullah Jarno. I am a imam at the Islamic OBK Islamic Center, Umar bin Khattab Islamic Center in Skyway. Is this better? Okay. So alhamdulillah, I did my studies abroad. After high school, I left and studied the deen, completed my bachelor's in Sharia, I learned Arabic. And then I also did my undergrad here at the UW in psychology and my grad school as well in clinical psychology. So I work as an imam, and I'm also a therapist. I don't think I'm more one than the other. I work as an imam full-time, and I also work as a therapist almost kind of full-time. So I'm pretty busy. But I do a lot of individual counseling, family counseling. And so substance abuse is something that I've seen in the counseling setting, of course, working with families, individuals, and it's also close to home, right? People within my own, relatives. Yeah. Can't hear me? All right, I'll try to talk louder. All right. So I was saying my exposure to substance abuse. I've worked with clients of my own, individuals, families that have been impacted by substance abuse, and so it's something that I work, with members who have struggled with it or continue to struggle with it. And it's also close to home, close to community, people that I know personally in my life, friends that I've grown up with, relatives in my own family who have dealt with it and have suffered from it. And so I've had that personal exposure as well as the professional work as well.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My name is Hussein Ugas, and I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and an addict. But I'm also the founder and executive director of a very special program, the Rahma Recovery Center. Rahma Recovery Center started from the crisis that our community was going through, and to try and give some answers to this chaos. Alhamdulillah, where I thought that I would be the one doing something for the community, what I've learned throughout this journey is that I'm the one that have learned a lot. That what I have learned was more than just the addiction crisis, but there was a lot of underlying darkness that I found out over time. What we're talking about here today, the stigma around addiction, the shame around it. And it's one thing to witness, family members who have individuals in that family who are struggling, but it's a whole another thing when you sit down with a grieving, Hoyo, who shares a story with you how she was too ashamed to get her eldest son the help that he needed, and she watched his demise, was waking up for Fajr and saw her son overdose from fentanyl because she was too ashamed to get the help that he needed. This is what I've learned from our community. And this is what has given me even more of more than just a drive, but a mission, my mission of life now, where I will not just stop here. Hopefully we will perfect a blueprint here where one day, bi'idhnillah, I'll take that mission back to our home, back to Somalia, where this exact crisis is going on right now. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Obah Farah. I am a recovering alcoholic and an addict. I am in recovery for 6 years now. I just recently graduated from Seattle Central College with an Associates of Arts with an emphasis on social justice. I am very passionate on speaking about recovery and what recovery can do for people and helping them get to that point of making that decision to recover from addiction. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. My name is Liban Yusuf, and I'm a licensed mental health therapist. I'm based from Seattle, Washington. When the weather is good, I'm back in Hargeisa, alhamdulillah. I've been a therapist for more than 10 years. And substance addictions, it's definitely part of mental health and mental illness. Marka, alhamdulillah, I'm very happy that we have this conversation. So this is already a big change that I'm seeing in the community, and I've been seeing it for the past 10 years, that people are a lot more open to talk about, share their stories. Very powerful stories that we heard today. And mashallah, let's continue on. Yeah.
Thank you guys for introducing yourselves. The first question we have is for Liban. We just want to define what substance use is and also what substance use disorder is. So for Liban, what is substance use and what's substance use disorder? And what is the connection between that and mental health?
Marka hore, substances were drugs and alcohol, but also coffee, right, or caffeine, tea, maxaa la yidhahdaa, nicotine, and also qat, right? All of that is substances. A person uses those substances, right? For us as Muslims, obviously, that's not something we are encouraged to do when it comes to alcohol, drugs. Even though culturally we accept qat, but that's also a drug. But then when you look at coffee, for example, I have my daily dose, sometimes twice a day. If I don't have my coffee that day, psychologically I feel less energized. I don't know if it's true or if it's physical or if it's psychological, but I do definitely feel or miss the substance of coffee. So that's substance use. Marka gaaladana alcohol, they can just use it, right, without abusing the substance. So we come to abuse. Abuse is when someone is really using it to the point that they are, especially when it comes to alcohol and drugs, that they're getting into trouble. Marka hore. Have difficulties in relations with their family, friends. Also, when it comes to obligations, right? If they have a job, they often late, or they get fired often, they have to get another job again, or they get involved with law enforcement, right? Or in the court system. So abuse has serious consequences. Maybe it's not immediate, but it eventually comes to that person, the consequence. And then mental health and substance abuse disorder. It's a mental health diagnosis, substance abuse disorder. You can get diagnosed for alcohol, you can get diagnosed for marijuana, any other drug as well. And even if someone isn't diagnosed with substance abuse disorder, there is definitely a mental health connection, because a lot of times someone is trying to relieve some pain, some psychological pain, emotional pain. They're trying to, it's called self-medicating, right? So they don't want to see a doctor, and then a friend says, okay, I was feeling this way, why don't you try this, whatever it might be, right? So they feel good in a moment, and then the brain registers that, oh, when I used that substance, I felt good. I didn't think about all the problems that I had, even though it might have been a couple of minutes and maybe it was 10 minutes, but it went away, right? So the brain registers that and reminds them again, and that's even before they become addicted to the substance itself. The person feels value, they got value out of that. And then other people who dealt with mental health issues, right, without knowing, so if they were feeling depressed and they used a particular substance and they felt less depressed, and so, okay, this is helping me as well to get out of my funk, whatever they might be calling it. So it's really connected. So a lot of people, I would say, with mental health diagnoses use substances, but in my experience, most people who have substance abuse disorder have a mental health issue. I would say for me, as a therapist, I've seen maybe 80% to 90% of the people that I've seen have that connection when it comes to substance use disorder and mental health issues. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're going to get started with our first question. What were some fears that kept you from seeking help and how did you address those fears for our community members that struggled with substance use disorder, and for our mental health professionals, what are some that you've seen in your line of work? What are some fears that prevented people from seeking help?
Okay, so for me, my biggest fear was losing my children. So that was the first one to go. My son, who's 18 years old today, yeah. So that was the biggest fear for me, was losing my children, which I didn't care for him for about 12 years while I struggled with the substances myself, those 12 years that I was in active use. So that was one. The second one was being treated unhumanely, like not being seen as a human being. So like everybody saw me as an addict. My family did not understand what I was hiding from them. They knew alcohol. They know alcohol. They know marijuana, but they did not understand what these substances that I was struggling with, like opioids, heroin, methamphetamine, stimulants, all these other substances that's available for people in the streets. They were not aware of them. So those are called, huh? Okay. So like I was saying, stimulants and illicit drugs, they weren't aware of that. And so I had to hide that from them. And so that was one of my biggest fear, and shame. Shame was the other one, being ashamed of my substances and being seen as a dirty person, or seeing myself as a dirty person because I was tainted. So those were my biggest fears for me.
Same question. Well, my fears were three things. I had a fear of success, right? Because I got so used to being at a rock bottom for so long that I didn't know what it would be like to even have a day of success, an hour of success, a minute of success. So I had this, I used to tell myself, why even bother? You're a failure anyway. And no one around me, not from my community, not from my, the friends that I had around me, were of any help. The community, obviously, they're the ones that will pity you, whisper behind your back, look down on you, or try to even, the best that I got was some family members, right, that would say things like, why are you doing this? Don't you know you're such and such, you come from such and such family? Why are you embarrassing the family? Right? They will say things like that. But for someone who's in like dire need, in active addiction, that doesn't help. We're searching for answers too. We're desperate for answers too. I promise you, I've never met an addict that was happy being in active addiction, especially when it comes to heroin and fentanyl. Those are two powerful opioids, and when they get a hold of you, you're gone unless you get treatment, unless you get the necessary support behind that treatment, unless you get a family that supports you, that understand that recovery, it's an up and down process, it's a lifetime's journey. You don't stand a chance. You'll become, that product will take you all the way until to your death. I promise you that. So that was one of my fears, was the fear of success. My second fear was I didn't want, I didn't want to go through the pain. I didn't want to face the withdrawals. I really did not. You know, if you don't know what it is to be going off of withdrawals from opioids like heroin and fentanyl, I promise you, every fiber of your body will hurt. Every fiber, your nails, your ears will be ringing. You can't control your bowel movements. You're cold and you're hot. It's like if you guys have had COVID before, raise your hands. How many people have had COVID? Imagine COVID times 1,000. I was afraid, man, and this is still one of my tools that I use. That I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to feel that. This is what keeps me in sobriety, on top of other things. Alhamdulillah, getting back to my deen and, learning Quran again and making sure I don't miss no salat and, asking Allah to keep me on the right path. I still remember the pain. I remember what it was going through the withdrawals and detox. This is one of the things that helped. Another thing, the third thing was that my family always told me, they always reminded me of my potential and who I was, right? Who I was. That guy is gone. I can't be that straight A student anymore. I can't be that refugee that everybody, the promised kid that everybody put on a pedestal, that they said you're going to become the engineer, the doctor, the pilot, right? I can't be that guy anymore. I lost that. So stop bringing that up. Stop mentioning that was the thing that also, it was one of my fears, like, I can't be that guy, so who am I going to be? I don't know. Until I got therapy, and my therapist told me, Hussein, you will never be that guy. But what you can be is better guy ahead of you. So the sooner you embrace that, the sooner that you're going to become the newer version of you that will never be that guy, but better than that guy. So alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity to learn those things and get those tools in my toolbox. And now I'm in a position to give that back. But as a family unit, our community needs to understand that there's a lot of underlying things why someone, when I hear family members say, we don't know what to do. This person has been on the streets for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. They don't want to get help. No, you don't understand how to help them. Everybody who struggles from substance use disorder or addiction needs help. Forget about the want part. We need help. You just have to learn how to help us. Thank you.
I'm going to add a couple points. Yeah. I just wanted to add a couple points to everything they shared. I think they mentioned, they have the lived experience, right? And I think that truly is more powerful than the theoretical or professional experience of it. But two things I've seen in my professional experience is one, people don't know where to go to get help. And that just kind of, I think, discourages a lot of people from getting help. It prevents them from getting help. Inshallah, I'll try to speak louder for the online folks. But so I think that one of the things that's very common is people don't know where to go, right? They just feel stuck, like, where do I start? Who do I talk to? And so I think, hopefully, inshallah, creating more conversations, sharing resources, and things of that sort, just information, education, giving people a place to start, someone to talk to, is something that can really help folks kind of have somewhere to start. We have Rahma Recovery, and alhamdulillah, that's opened recently in Seattle, and we have more projects like that coming up in our community. We have more therapists in our community. Liban, he's been doing this work for 10 years plus. I'm more recent, just a couple years now. And so we are as a community creating more resources, Somali Health Board. And so all of these places, inshallah ta'ala, are creating a starting place for people. And the second point that I wanted to add is oftentimes people don't realize they have SUD, right, substance use disorder, until it's like really severe, right? And so I think that's something that prevents a lot of people from getting help because they think like, oh no, I still got control. I'm only using it for recreational purposes, I'm taking my opioid pills, like, to help just with my pain. Like, I'm not an addict. And they don't want to acknowledge that they actually have an addiction problem until it's like very debilitating, right? Like they're not now able to function, they're not going to work, they're not going to school, their life is just kind of falling apart. And I think that's actually a barrier because what happens is they don't get help, or oftentimes they're not able to get help when things get really bad. And the way to help them is a lot more complex if it's advanced or severe, compared to if it was like a mild to moderate addiction. It would have been a lot easier to have an intervention, get some help, find support, systems and so on. And so a lot of times people just, what prevents them from getting help is they're just their lack of awareness that they are, they do have a substance abuse disorder, that they are dealing with addiction. And that is, at this point, they should really think about getting help because this is more than just recreational use or medicinal use. It's become an addiction now, right? So I think those two things are just two of what I would add to what they shared. Liban, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add? Oh, you okay? All right.
Thank you for sharing your insightful comments on the emotional barriers that could prevent somebody from seeking help. Our second question is, how can the community create spaces where people feel safe to admit they are struggling without a fear of judgment?
Maybe I'll start and pass it on, inshallah. So how can we create spaces where people feel safe and admit that they're struggling without fear or judgment? I was working with a sister not too long ago, and she shared that she was dealing with alcohol addiction and for some time. And for a long time, she was looking for resources within the community to help to help treat her addiction. She joined a Alcohol Anonymous group at a church nearby, my working place. And I've heard this from more than one person, and they're like, it would be really nice if there were spaces in our masajid, right, for these alcohol anonymous groups or other support groups in our centers. And so creating spaces like that, I think, is needed. As a Muslim community, as an East African community, I think we don't really allow people to be their real selves, and be vulnerable. It's like you really have to come together to the masjid. If you're not together, then you might as well not show up. And so we have to, I think, create more, spaces in our community, and especially in our places of worship, our masajid, because that is where people first go when they have mental health concerns and substance use disorders. The first place that our community goes is the masjid. That's where they go for support. And so I think masajid really have to work with mental health professionals and create resources, because that is kind of the default place that the community goes to. Along with that, I would say, more programs like this, more awareness, having more professionals in our community that are working on these types of projects. And so that's just my part, inshallah. I'll let the rest of you add. Maybe Liban, inshallah. You can add something.
So places like this, mashallah, it's very good. Alhamdulillah, we have it. Like you said, the masajids are the first places people go to for mental health issues, also substance abuse. Well, I haven't seen that yet, but shuyukhs used to contact me or through the Somali Health Board and then tell me this person needs help with mental health. So I would say, there should be a space for someone who's dealing with substance use disorder, which is psychological as well. But I would like also to think about the individual, right? If you are walking down the street, if you see somebody with a severe mental health issue, I would say you can easily assume, if they look like that they have been on the streets for a while, you can assume they are also dealing with substance use disorder or addiction. So how would you, so even if you don't approach that person, I would say, think about how would you approach that person? What would you say to that person, right? Instead of our typical reaction, oh, okay, another homeless person addicted to drugs, alcohol, in downtown Seattle, wherever they might be, right? So just think about that, right? Maybe you do have that instinct of having a kind face, right? Just smiling, saying hi or salam alaikum if that person is Somali or Muslim. Or other times you yourself might not have that energy to think about it even. So in that moment, I would also suggest to notice it within yourself, right? Oh, okay, yesterday or the week before, I had the energy to think about that exercise or the saying hi to someone or just showing a friendly face to someone, but today I don't, right? So just check in with yourself from time to time. That's what I would add to it. That's another space.
And I'll add to that. So my biggest fear is for the mothers and the struggling mothers with the children that are addicts coming home to your child ODing. So having training, Narcan training for them, as well as educating them on symptoms and just to show them the signs of overdose and what to be aware of and stuff like that. So having that space here, whether here or another Somali community, it's just having that space to educate that the mothers and fathers that are struggling with their children who are opioid addicts. So that would be a good start. Another would be like just holding NA, the Narcotics Anonymous. So starting our own Somali-based Narcotics Anonymous by educating our youth about narcotics and substances and stuff like that. So that's my add.
Wallahi, this was a question that I was waiting for, because I've got a lot to say about this. We need collaboration. Akhi, you remember when I first came to you, brought this idea. Liban, you remember last year when you and I had a conversation? And you're not the only ones. I've spoken to imams, the community organization leaders, the professionals. If someone like me, with no academic background, with no Islamic scholarship background, but with just sheer will, lived experience, and never giving up attitude, wanting to face this crisis, can come this far, imagine how far we can go if we do this collaboratively. I don't want this to be just words, man. We have to have action. And I'm gonna put both of you guys on the spot. We need some commitments from you today. After this is done, we need to come together and have a meeting afterwards. And we need to have a plan. I have the vision. I have the blueprint, but I don't have the necessary roadmap on how to get there. The academics do. The people who build spaces like this do. I can only do so much. I'm in the field. I do the family intervention programs. We do the recovery farm. Tomorrow we're doing a huge day of awareness. It's called overdose awareness at our Kent Farmers Market. I'm doing a lot, but it's not enough. Gacmo wada jiray wax ku qabtaan. Right? We are, as Somalians, we are a resilient bunch. If we can come together, wallahi, we can move mountains. And what we're facing, the crisis that we're facing right now, is not something that we can individually try to take on. I need your help. You want spaces to be created. You want the crisis center that has the, detox, inpatient treatment service, mental health support services. Stop doing these things on your own private ways, and let's do this as a community where not only will you be able to help yourselves and your families, but you can also deposit in your akhirah bank, for God's sakes.
Jazakallah and Hussein and everybody. And as we listen to the following questions and spend the rest of the time we have here at the community conversation, let's take a moment to reflect on ways that we can make sure that our community feels safe to talk about this. And this won't be our last time talking about this either. Inshallah. Our third question is, what do you wish people understood better about substance use disorder?
That it's a disease. Just like that shirt says. Addiction is a disease, stop the stigma. And to add to that, recovery is a lifetime's journey. 12 years later, I still introduce myself as, my name is Hussein, and I'm a grateful recovering addict. Because I know recovery is a progress that will never stop until my dying day. It's a disease, man. The people who have diabetes, I use as an example a lot, right? You never hear somebody that says, oh, I've cured my diabetes, right? You're always gonna have to treat your diabetes. It's a disease, man. The 3 steps, substance use disorder, and then it becomes the addiction. Once you're at the addiction part, that's when you have to treat this thing for the rest of your life. And addiction has its ups and downs. Just like someone with diabetes, sometimes they fall off the wagon, their sugar rises. I don't know how that works, but it's an up and down process, man. And just be supportive of the process. Encourage the person, celebrate the sober days, celebrate the victories. Even if someone has 1 week of sobriety, celebrate it. If they have 1 day of sobriety and they go back to using a month, remind them of that 1 day. We had a full day together and you were clean. Celebrate it.
I think you said it for all of us. But yeah, I wear this wristband to remind myself. It says we do recover. So just a reminder every day that I am sober. Every year that I take, it's an accomplishment. So like you said, I celebrate myself just to remind myself that recovery is possible and that we're human beings, and compassion and love and kindness is all that a person needs, just to get by the day. So if I relapse tomorrow, just like Hussein said, I would mind somebody to remind me of all those 6 years that I just lost. So, and then I restart again. So everybody has a different dates and different times. So just recovery means to me possibilities of endless obstacles.
I would say it could happen to any of us. But it can happen to someone who comes from a good family, someone who comes from a bad family, whatever that might be, someone who's rich, right, very poor. Well, it could happen to anyone. Marka, I would say, alhamdulillah, as Muslims, we already have been warned, right? So any substances, we should be cautious about it. This is especially for the young people here. And it's also, when someone's dealing with addiction, it's really connected to them, right? It's really connected to their emotions, their psychological well-being. Marka, when you see someone who's, that you think, that looks like that they're acting crazy on purpose while they're waiting for the bus, but it's something that's happening psychologically for them. They might not remember. If they had a choice, they would not behave in that manner, right? That's all. That's all. Yeah.
I'll add one last thing. I think all the points were excellent. Thank you, Liban, about mentioning, it could happen to anyone. I think oftentimes what contributes to the lack of people getting support or preventing people from getting support is the community not empathizing and not understanding that these people are victims. They're dealing with problems, and it's not by choice. It might have started with a choice, but it doesn't. They don't continue by choice. And so having empathy and understanding that, that could be any one of us. Take that sense of be feeling better, superior, like I'm better than you. I made better choices. Not having that, right? And so approaching everyone with compassion. Islamically, we're commanded to do this, and unfortunately, we've been told. People say when I go to the masjid, I go to the community centers, I see the stares, I see the looks. That's enough, right? I don't even need to hear the words, right? And so judging people isn't just a matter of words; it's a matter of body language. It's a matter of attitude. Deal with them like they're human beings, like they're just like you. They're no less than you. They've just been afflicted. There's a hadith, that says, understand that people are, ahlul bala and ahlul afiyah. Like people are either trialed with bala and hardship, or they've been granted afiyah. Farhamu ahlul bala wahmadullah ala al-afiyah. Like have mercy on the people who have bala. If that's the bala ilahi, put on them and that's their test, have mercy for them. And thank Allah for the afiyah that He's given you, right? And so I want to just kind of, really emphasize that because of what people report when they come to the community settings. They say the experience is terrible, and you can see it. And so that's one. The second thing I would say that I would want the community to better understand is that the families of those with substance use disorders and addicts are also suffering. So it's not just the individual that suffers. Their entire family is impacted. The parents, the children, if they have children, if they have a partner, if they have siblings, it impacts the entire family. And so support isn't just for the individual. The families need support on how to navigate this. How do we support this person? How do we, as a family, protect other members of the family, while supporting this other person? How do we go about this whole, situation? And so I think that's something we need to give more attention to is also understand that the families are suffering along with the individual. Wallahu alam, thank you.
Jazakallah khair. We're going to end the panel discussion on an optimistic note with our final question. What gives you hope that stigma is changing?
Inshallah, I'll just pass it on. I think discussions like this, I've been seeing more programs like this in the community. So, just keep going, keep creating, keep encouraging others to attend. Seeing more professionals, those who've had lived experiences. You're a professional. You probably have the greatest knowledge, which is lived knowledge, right? And so, those who've studied academically and trained. And so this gives us a lot of hope. Alhamdulillah, another thing that I'll share is that we've created a mental health training program for imams and religious leaders. So we're really trying to create more awareness for our religious leaders in the community. And so that's also something I feel that makes me feel very optimistic, that imams are also taking this more serious and there's more awareness and education being created in those spaces.
Well, what gives me a lot of optimism is organizations like Al-Ikhlas Foundation, right? Hooyooyinka Soomaaliyeed that came together, from their own lived experience, right? They deal with the pain at home, through their children, to their nephews, nieces, sons, daughters, and they have the courage to, start an organization where they talk about those things. They try to come up with solutions to those problems. But most importantly, that they can have the conversation honestly, right? They're not whispering behind closed doors anymore. They're actually having that discussion, like they can vent to each other, because there's nobody that can understand mother's pain like another mother's who has gone through the same pain. And alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, I've seen a lot in the youth too, that they're learning and they're willing to put the work behind understanding what an addiction is. Like the young brother today, that was really encouraging what I saw, right? You said that I had to put myself in his shoes in order for me to write this poem, right? And that takes a lot, man. That takes a lot to say that I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of an addict, right? Someone who's been through the struggles of addiction. I'm so proud of you, bro. I'm so proud of you. And you are the perfect example for the rest of the youth. Don't pity the person who's in active addiction. Try to walk in their shoes, even emotionally. Thank you very much.
12 years ago when I was struggling, we didn't have conversations like this. It was hard for me to come to a Somali or Islamic mosque or any community that's serving the people to have a discussion about my addiction or be honest with them. So for us to even sit here today and talk openly, and for me to tell my truth over and over and over and over again until it becomes a solid story for me to understand that it was okay, that I had to walk through that door, I had to walk through those shoes. It was a part of my past, and it's part of my future for me to educate people on addiction. That for me is what I have hope for. That gives me hope, along with my children and my education to becoming a counselor in psychology. I'm waiting for my BSA right now, my bachelor's program, so hopefully wish me luck. Yes, so I'm on the waiting list. Yes, I'm on the waiting list for my bachelor's program for behavioral applied science. So inshallah, I'm going to become a therapist and yes, and get into psychology. So that's a goal of mine. So that gives me hope. Yes, and the fear of overcoming of just like, because 12 years ago we didn't have space like this. We didn't talk like this. So it was there was that fear. I have to overcome that fear of like opening up for my community and telling my community that I'm here. You can come and talk to me and I can be open with you and you can be open with me and we can have a discussion about this topic without any judgment or fear. So that's all.
Alhamdulillah, I'm very hopeful for places like this today and stories like yours, Obah, mashallah. Last week, one of my nieces came to me and she saw me taking a lot of medicine for, I just came back from Africa and Asia. I brought something back, alhamdulillah, with normal antibiotics. I'll deal with it, but she saw me taking a lot of medicine. And then the conversation went to that she learned about CPR, and they added naloxone training, Narcan training. Yeah, for kids in, I think she is in middle school, right? So it's part of CPR, meaning if you see someone lying down and you don't know why they're lying down, if you have that training, you know what to do or where to go. Because most places, stores, gyms, they do have that medicine, right? So to help that person not die, right? It's life-threatening. So I was super surprised, but I was really happy to hear that it's so common now that we do have that medicine everywhere, and we're teaching the kids. So we should be open to talking to our kids, whatever you feel comfortable with. but especially how to help others. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to take some questions from the audience now. If anybody wants to ask our panelists anything. Right.
Yeah, okay. It's, I forget your name. Gerano? Gerano? Okay. Gerano, earlier you said that you had one of our community member who came to you who's struggling for alcohol addiction. So, and one of the questions she asked was like, because they do this Alcoholic Anonymous in churches, if there's any, you know, she would love to see like at the mosque to have that. So since you said that there's a training happening for the imams and sheikhs like about, you know, for mental health, is there any talk, because this is, you know, like narcotic association or Alcoholic Anonymous, is there any talk about the messages to create a safe place for those people to come, and that like, thank goodness, because you are mental health professional training or other, is there any talk about that, or we just listen and then just leave it like what we have been doing the last 80 years? Is that what is happening in the community? So my question is that to you.
Thank you.
So are there discussions, right, about creating like serious talk about change in our centers, especially with our masajid and religious leaders? I would say yes. Alhamdulillah, right now, at our masjid, the OBK Islamic Center, or Umar bin Khattab Islamic Center, Skyway, we have 2 therapists that work at the masjid. And we offer low and no cost counseling. If people can afford it, very low cost. If they can't afford it, no charges at all. And so we have that. Licensed mental health therapist myself, who I am licensed mental health counselor. And then we have another sister, Samira Umar, who also does some work with Somali Health Board. She's also a therapist that works at the masjid. And if you go on our website, you can request, anybody can request an appointment. So alhamdulillah, there are centers. I know the MAPS on the east side also has counselors that work at their masjid as well. And so this training that's coming up is in 2 weeks. I'm leading it. And so that is one of the call to action that I'm making to the imams, is that every masjid should at least have one therapist that works at the masjid. So that's the first call to action. Masajid need to invest some of their funds in having mental health professionals in the masjid, available to the community, at least part-time. The second thing we're calling to action is that religious leaders have to be trained so that they at least have, just they're educated, right? It's not like a lack of iman. It's not a lack of will. Like these misconceptions, like, if you had iman, you would not have this problem. It's not a lack of iman or not having iman or having iman. This is addiction. There's physiological, there's behavioral, there's psychological factors that have to be considered. And so, so part of the workshop will be educating the imams to understand it's not a matter of just choice or will or iman versus no iman, but there's more to it than that. And also teaching them what are the interventions that they can take. Or beyond just kind of like, okay, Quran akhris, right? Like just go Quran akhris 10 times, 20 times, 1,000 times, you'll get better. Beyond that, right? Like professional help. And so, really creating that awareness, inshallah ta'ala. So this training is happening in 2 weeks at our masjid, and I'm leading that training. So yes, there is, there are masajid that have counseling, and there's more training and information and awareness being made. Do you have something more? Huh? A space? No, we don't have any support groups in any masjid yet. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. Not yet. Yes, I'll pass it to you. So for that question, I'll say, as of now, I don't know of any masjid that offers that type of service, or even Muslim community center of any sort that offers that type of service as of yet. Not just for Alcohol Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, right? We have other, right? So there's so many different types of addictions, right? So I don't know of any Muslim-run, led center that has anything of that sort. And so that is something maybe the brother can speak to and share, inshallah.
This is one of the things that when I was mentioning that we need collaborative efforts, right? When I say I have the tools, there is the 12-step program. It's Christian faith-based program. There's actually a book written by Dr. Al-Khidr Lawrence. It's called Recovery in Islam. It has a 10-point program for the addict, the Muslim addict. With that book, we can have our AA and A faith, Islamic faith AA and A meetings, but we need the space and need the encouragement of the faith leaders, right? In our organization, in our sober house that we live, that our brothers live at, I'm in a gray area, right? Where I cannot tell them we're completely faith-based. I just have to tell them we have house rules that respects the Muslim faith, so no pork can be cooked here. This kind of pushes away other people from coming in. The reason why I cannot say that because I get state funded. If I got funding from our faith leaders and our faith communities, right, I wouldn't have to answer that question. I would tell them completely, yeah, we're a faith-based organization. So this is where the collaborative effort comes in. The tools are here. The people who are in need of those tools are definitely here. The space is needed.
So inshallah, there will be more conversations between me and the brother Hussein, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I'm very proud to everybody who came up today. And we are the moms, me, Anab, and Khatra. We just, I'm glad we see this today, and I'm very proud. Because every time some mom calls us for a problem or her kids is struggling, we don't know what to tell them. We just send Hussein. And Hussein, how many people he can cover? Every day we're texting him, Hussein, can you go there? Can you go there? Recently we went to downtown and we are seeing the kids, our kids. I don't have to be the mom if my kids have addiction, no. They are all our kids. What's the plan? Do we go, like, today my question was for the community actually, who is not here today, because this is a community and masajids. We've seen, we witness people kick out kids. Even they don't have to be alcoholic or addiction, because their hairs is a little bit big, like these young kids, and people are looking and judging them. We need to change, and I hope this will be the start. And next time we need moms to involve, because really it's the moms who are hurting, who is downtown every night with their van looking for their kids. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I just want to say hi everyone, my name is Muna. I know Hussein and Ovah, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for your heartfelt message. Every time I hear it, it still touches me truly. Addiction is a disease. When I first met Hussein, he pours and pours into the community. When I first met him, the first day was in this room right here, and was like, forget about me, help a mama right across the street. And that right there tells you a lot about Hussein. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional.
Bismillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to salamay dhammaantiin. I think most of the panels, I know you all, and mashallah. I have been a member of the community for a long time. And I'm so proud what you guys are doing. And also I'm so proud of those two individuals, Hussein and Ubah, and as well the other brothers. And I know Ubah very well. And me and her, we go through a while. And go forward, the most important things that our community faces is lack of trust of each other. And when Brother Hussein came in, he came with the conviction. He came with the goal. He came in with 100% support. What I am still seeing is I don't see a lot of support, because every masjid want to do their own things. Every community, they do what they want own things. So they're all offering what the brother is doing. So my question is, all the masjids, all the community members, include me, I am someone who came from masajids. And I started our all masjids with the youth programs 4 years ago. It's been 12 years ago when we have a mental health day. And I invited someone from outside community, and that person came. And our community, then they were not educated. They say that maanta waxa ugu wacday carruurteen dadka mentalka inay wada jiran yihiin. And that was like 2014. And I know Sheikh Abdullah, he came many times for our youth program. So our youth issue hasn't started just yesterday, a month ago, 2 months ago. It's been happening over time when Ubah was a young child. It seems like now the people are waking up thanks to Brother Hussein. And people like Ubah who say that you guys, stop. We are here. And there's 1,000 of us are there under the table who want to speak up, who want to be helped. That's one thing. The other thing I would like to address is in our middle schools. Our elementary school, my brother was saying that, I don't know how old your niece is, but I know that I'm a mother who raised children. By the time kids start 5th grade, they already introduced this substance abuse. It starts like, hey, do you want a candy? Candy becomes a what? To the what? So my final thought is, we need to focus helping the brothers who are already expert. And the masjids, they need to support his vision and his, even Somali Health Board, all the organizations. What are creating us is everybody coming up their own programs. I'm Safia, 30 years I've been in the community. If I want to be a non-profit organization, and I could be doing for a long time, because you know why? I know somebody's doing better job. At least I can support that person who's doing good job. I'm not gonna open another one on their side. So my final is, please, we already have a brother. His wish was to save another child. My sister's wish is to save another mother's cry. I know Ubah, she go through a lot. She doesn't want to go another mother go through what she's been through. So that's my final thought. And thank you, and Jazakallah khairan.
I will say, okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, what horta group kina yar wad mahadsantiin Ahmed Hussein and Ubah and labadiina Liban and Sheikh Abdullah. So, first of all, this is the word I always say, and I never too shy away. Even I work middle school last 17 years, but I never too shy away to say, we escape from war, but we are in invisible war. The war we can protect ourselves, our kids. Which is today, that's what Hussein and Ubah talking about. What I like to ask, what is the place? Somali Health Board, the Masco BK, Abu Bakr, name it all, the organization. I would like to see specifically program they set up for the kids without no adult, the youth, so they can have a space to feel comfortable and to talk their struggle, and also they can share the idea how they get there. You know, we can't help without knowing why first we got there. So a small hole can make a big hole. So, and also, I would like to suggest we need to have a parent education. Parents should have education because the number one teacher is the parent. And when we are lacking a lot of things, it's very hard our kids to survive. I'm not blaming nobody. I'm not blaming the kids. The society is bigger than us. And the people who are educated and have ability to bring the community, they need to establish parent education, substance abuse, and drugs, and also relationship. Substance is not coming overnight. And so number one is the relationship has to be beautiful. So we need to have a specific event once a month. I don't care whether it's OBK or Abu Bakr or other mosques. They need to, and Hussein, he shouldn't even struggle place to help our kids. He shouldn't. It's very shame. Every one of us, we are taxpayers. Last 21 years, I work 7 days a week. Why I'm working, not building a house in Africa to save up my kids and others. Our money goes to the non-profit organization. Our money goes to whatever place. Mosque without mothers, no mosque. We're the one who built. We work hard, and we're the one who lost and crying and losing their kidney, their liver, and their kids. Over 10,000 kids sitting in King County Jail. Walla Walla, Shahela. One of brother told me, now they're starting a new jail our kids going. So what is the game plan? It's not me, adult, need help, but then what is the next generation? I came here in 1992. What is the people come with us? It's gone. Some of them success, some lost. It didn't start yesterday. Please, back to square where we come from as a Muslim. Let's support this young man and these beautiful girls as they can speak their own. They put in their vulnerability in the front of everybody, sharing their struggle. But a lot of people are hidden, but they sharing. We need to support them. And wherever we can help, Hussein, I'm gonna give you my number. I work Seattle Public School. Whatever I can do to help, even if I can invite you and connect with you in Seattle Public School, I would love to connect with you. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, all of you, and protect you and protect our kids from hidden problems and something we can. So it's final. We have to come together. That's all.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rahma Rashid. I am a founder and executive director of an organization called Muslims Against Abuse Center. And I'm here as a sister who has family members who are struggling with substance abuse. I'm also here to share that addiction steals so much from individuals, from the families, from that one individual who may never have who they were before that addiction. From family members who once had a loved one who was very close and connected, and now all of a sudden they're a completely different person and you want to help and support. But sometimes it can be so difficult. And also watching your parents cry day in and day out, becoming a parent and struggling to also try to see where you can fit in and being an older daughter. It's something that really connects very deep, and that is why I'm here to support you in any way I can, Hussein, because I know the importance of this and I know how much it can affect. And unfortunately, sometimes until you feel that pain very closely, you don't know what to do and how to support individuals. I know how it feels, and I know how my mother feels, and I don't want any other mother to feel alone, to feel shame, to have that stigma, not to be able to speak up. Part of me even starting MAC was due to the stigma of what I went through. And I talked to you a little bit about that, and just the fact that addiction can steal so much from you. It can steal so much pain. It can steal so much happiness. A life that you once wanted can be taken, a parent can be taken from their child. and just struggling and not having any place to go to. So I urge community members, imams, masjids to really open doors and assist in making sure that we bring these things to life, because as somebody who's an educator, I've also been an Islamic school teacher, and I've seen the same struggle that we're talking about today in 2018, 2015, where kids were bringing these things to the masjid and doing it in the bathrooms, and I've seen it firsthand. And this is something that even as of recently, same problem has happened. What are we doing to solve it? Are we involving people like you to come into the masjid? Are we bringing in conversations like this in the masajids? And unfortunately, we're not. And I want to talk a little bit about one of the key things when it comes to addiction is prevention. Prevention means taking steps before a problem starts or before it gets worse. This can be in mental health, substance abuse, domestic violence, and so much more. What are we doing to reduce these risks? How are we having conversations with our children when they're going to school? I've helped out in Aki Korosi Middle School that's very close to here, and that is the first place that I saw things that I wish my eyes never laid on. And those were things from our own children. As a domestic violence advocate, I've seen young girls who are so afraid to go back to their families and ask for help, and they're kicked out on the street. And they tell me stories of how even their brothers are doing these things, but they're being pushed back home, and the girls are being pushed out the second that they make these mistakes. And then I've watched what you said in regards to withdrawals. I've watched the baby have withdrawals. And you can't even go, you have no idea where can you call, who can you ask for support. The parents of the daughter are not even willing to help because they're so angry with her for falling into addiction. And so I think that a bigger conversation needs to happen around how do we support both our young girls, our young men, our men and our women equally, supporting them, making sure that they get the recovery that they need, and that starts with prevention, putting together. We have a prevention group, and they were staring at me when Javier was talking a little bit about it, where we talk about these things. We leave it to the youth to have these discussions around what can we do? How can we steer clear of peer pressure? If somebody's offering you something, what can you say? How can you say no to someone who's your best friend? Somebody who's gonna a lot of them told us how people will see them in the bathroom and they'll say, hey, just try this out. It's nothing, it's just like, it has a hint of candy flavor, just try it out. And then you think that it's not a problem and it's just this pen, and all of a sudden it becomes a bigger problem because now it's that, then it's gonna be weed, then it's gonna be so much more. And oftentimes our parents don't know. They're just like, oh, that looks like a USB, something that goes into a computer. They're even made like candy now. And so it's like appealing to a child's eye because it looks like something that they could do every single day. So I would say prevention is key. Support brothers and sisters who are trying to do this work, and I'm here support as much as possible. And my question is just around family members who are there to support individuals who are going through these things. What advice would you give to family members who feel like they're stuck, and as much as they try to do, it's almost pushing the person who's inactive doing substance away because they're overly seeking them out, looking for them, trying to support them, trying to help them, and it almost feels like you're overbearing them, and the more that you try to help, the more that they continue to push away from you. What advice would you give to family members who are dealing with that?
We'll open this question up to anybody in our panel that would like to answer.
Okay, so as an individual was that person, the overbearing, like feeling like I was overbearing my family with compassion, just be there, give them some space, but not too much space. Yeah, like I don't know what worked for me. I think it was the love for they never gave up on me, just by being there. I felt like they were controlling, they were manipulating me into forcing me into treatment, to do just, bribing me, stuff like that. But their love is the number one thing for me that stuck with me, is that they loved me enough to just continue to be there for me, even through my dark times. And so the love that you have for that person who's struggling, that should be enough for them. And then I hope that they see it enough to come out of it. It's a hard one, honestly. But that's the best advice I can give, is love them hard enough to not give up on them.
So not losing hope, right? So day to day, reminding yourself how this person was, right? The person you used to talk to, the person who used to drive you to places. So they're struggling right now, but they helped you in the past, right? Or you had a great time together, you love them still. Like Omar said, keep that in mind, keep that to the forefront of your mind, and know some days it will be very difficult, and other days it'll be much easier, right? So again, the person who has a family member dealing with addiction also needs help, right? Also look for a professional, even if it's not about you getting a diagnosis, someone you can talk to figure out what are boundaries, right? I've seen family members in our community who had someone who was struggling with really difficult drugs, like methamphetamine, heroin. They would go out and purchase those for them because they want the person to be in the home rather than in the streets. So you're putting yourself in danger, right? So if you talk to a professional or someone who has experience, you can figure out the boundaries that you can still have a good relationship with your family member, and that you don't have to be in danger or reckless at times.
I just want to expand a couple of things. Both of you guys, everything you said, it's really an important tools. But what Doc said was healthy boundaries, and this is something that, as a community, we need to learn that. When someone is in active addiction, there's a thin line between enabling them and trying to be like a supportive parent or a supportive sibling. Enabling kills, right? When we addicts know how to manipulate the person. We know if we see the signs that we can get over you, we're gonna continue to use that and start making up lies and stories and until we get our way all the time. And that could lead to someone's demise. It has happened. I've had the parent share that story with me, that, she felt like she enabled this person, and now she feels like, she took part of his demise, and she carries that guilt, whether it's, worrying about her akhirah, or even worrying about something might come back on her on this dunya. Because just like Doc said, she gave him money to go buy the substances and said, just use here. I don't want the neighbors and the people outside to see you high out there. And the person died from fentanyl overdose, right? Education and being part of these programs that we're about to bring, inshallah, with the partnership with the masjids and everything, right? Like the Al-Anon program, it's an alcoholic and narcotics anonymous program where the discussion happens, between the parents who are struggling, with the addict in their home, and the addict being part of that meeting, where they can share with each other, where they can be understanding, they can be open with each other. Like the parent can really say, listen, this is how I feel. I'm terrified being around you. You know, I can't go to work, I can't go to sleep because I'm constantly worried whether or not today is going to be the day that you're going to die from this. Because those discussions don't happen at home, right? It's a tension, right, at the house. There's always like everybody's walking around each other on eggshells. And in these spaces, these are, non-judgmental, comfortable spaces where it's not only you guys that are having the discussion, but there's another family too. There's a third family, there's a fourth family. There's a group of families together where they can share these with each other. So everybody can be comfortable, like, I guess we're not the only one. So more education is necessary, but at the same time, learning healthy boundaries. Wallahi, that is definitely a way to encourage them, number one, and to also to help yourself too, so you won't have to just go crazy, for lack of better words.
Thank you. I think, all important points were mentioned, right? And I think because there's so many different ways to look at it. Wah shared the love, right? Just making the person feel loved and seeing their human being, and just always showing that, just demonstrating that no matter what. Also, the thin line between enabling and protecting, and how to do you distinguish between the two. And I think one thing I would add is oftentimes families want to change the person, right? And that makes them feel overwhelmed, pull further away from the family, further, distance themselves. Don't force them to change, right? They have to make that choice. And so I think that's a very important part as well, on top of loving them, so they don't feel overwhelmed or feel like their boundaries are not being respected. Encourage, just love them, be there for them. Of course, understanding that line, seek professional guidance, like how should I navigate this? Speak to other people on what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And then the other thing is, from my experience, a lot of times something that prevents addicts from recovering is their family's no, you need to go do this, you need to go do that. They want to tell them what to do, and a person has to be ready to do that. And so just giving them the space, I would say, for them to really come to that decision is important, and just keep loving them throughout that process as they kind of reach that goal, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions?
But going back to what I was saying, in this room right here, a few months ago, I asked Hussein and Gas, I was like, me and Kote, we're part of this organization, how can we invest in you? How can we support you? And he goes, there's a mom, Rainier Beach. And I'll never forget this, she's a single mom. She came from Somalia a year ago. She has 6 kids. Each kid had a sickness. And she has nothing. She's struggling to pay for rent. They need some food. He goes there every week, gives them sports a bris. He tells us that the kids like pizza. Buy pizza. Go buy groceries. There's no food in the refrigerator, go buy groceries. So that's exactly what me and Kota did. And that changed my whole view of everything in the world. And it was Hussein who changed that for me. That the community needs our support. That we need to unify as a community to invest in each other. And I ask you again during this Q&A, a few months after, how can we now best support you? And a few ways that I urge each and every one of you guys is to take out your phones for a second and scan that QR code and donate so he can continue doing the great work that he does, because he is just one person. We constantly donate to the masjids. We donate thousands of dollars. We donate to nonprofits, which is amazing. We need to continue the work, and we need to invest where our dollars are seen. We need to see the work that's being done, and he constantly does the work. Me and Kolter, when we went to go look for Ahmed a few weeks, or last week, we seen a Somali boy, and we seen a Somali gabdo. And we're like, do you need help? How can we help you? And we did not know what to do. So we called Hussein. And I have Narcan in my home because of Hussein. I have this shirt I'm wearing right now because of Hussein. So I urge each and every one of you guys to scan that QR code and donate to him and invest in him. So what other ways can we support you? All of us together, not just myself, but all of us right here. And that's my question to you.
Thank you so much, Muna and Kauthar. You guys are some of the hardest working young ladies I've ever met. Wallahi, some days when I feel tired, I think of you guys. I go, if they can go on, I'm gonna keep pushing it. I just need one more cup of coffee. But honestly, I think I said the important stuff today, which is the leadership, right? Our community leadership need to stop being so selfish. Seriously. This is, it's a war now. The battle is way past us, right? And we need all hands on deck. We need everybody to take part of this. And you know, these t-shirts, you know, addiction is a disease, stop the stigma. They're more than just giving back to this organization, Rahman Recovery Center, and supporting it, right? These are conversation starters. When somebody sees you wearing this, something will trigger, and they will ask the question. Now, your job is not just to wear the shirt, but also educate yourself why addiction is a disease and where the stigma is coming from in our community. And that's really simple nowadays, right? Everybody has a phone in their hands, ChatGPT, right? You get all the answers that you need. You can contact me. My business cards are on that table. The work that we're doing is on those flyers. Listen, this isn't about me or Rahma Recovery Center. This is about saving community. This is about saving lives. What we all know, our deen tells us, if you save one life, Allah will reward you as if you saved all humanity, right? And I'm back to what I said earlier. It's about putting it in your akhirah bank, for God's sakes. Let's do this together as a community. Let's do this, please. I need all hands on deck, please.
Bismillah. And أنا كسول لابتر على هذا. And I just wanna waxaa gabadha yarta habar magacaam cunto muna waxay ka hadashay hooyo 6 cunug wadata oo wadanka laga keenay 1 sano ka hor whatever or whole la kalantay runtii years ago I worked the Harborview for a long time ago we had a refugee resettlement ayaa imaadeen for conference and one of the questions I asked was when our community ay yimaadaan why is it always being settled the area that's already have a lot of issues. And as you know that most of the Hoyoyin, they have a lot of children. They come with the 10 kids, 7 kids. And most of those kids they don't have someone who is the figure, who is able to help them, what needs to be done. So what I'm trying to say is we have to know our environment. We have to know our environment. Also, we need to know that the state that we're living in, what is it benefit? What is it giving it to us? For instance, I don't know if most of you guys are educated, you know that if you go the Washington State statistics, Washington is number 3 in drug addicted. So our children, they need to be educated. As a parent, we should know that our school, our children, the school they're attending, we should know the school that our children are attending, what is their status, what do they do for the safety, what are their plan if something happened. You know, a lot of things that our community, as a parent, we are lacking. And also, it's very important, like, as a Hoyoyin, to gather and work on it, what we need to help with all those mothers. And thank you, Hussein, all that work you do, and all of you guys. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much. All right, we have a question for the audience. We're going to do another poll. What are some ways that you can contribute to reducing the stigma? So scan the QR code up here like you did with the starter question, and let's see some responses. And hang tight afterwards. We're going to do a few announcements, including the upcoming event that Rahma Recovery is hosting tomorrow. I'm going to read these as they come in, inshallah. Perfect. Continuing the drug abuse conversation, educate my loved ones by educating one another about it. These are great responses. This is all things that we could do, the action steps that we can take as individuals. Using my resources and my network to contribute. Yes, mashallah. Keep them coming. Be more proactive. How could that's a great point. You can reduce drug abuse by being a positive role model, supporting healthy activities, and encouraging friends to say no. Yes. Host more events like these to gather the youth. Inshallah. First step is knowing that we play a part in this. We all play a part in this. Attending conversations such as this and bringing other members of the community to continue the dialogue and educate one another. Being supportive and furthered collaboration between the existing community organizations that are already holding space for these conversations and work. Stop the stigma. Yes, I can help people understand that addiction is a complex health issue, not a moral failing, 100%. Talking to my younger siblings and cousins and imparting what knowledge I have. Yes, mashallah. Passing on the knowledge. These are beautiful, beautiful responses. Mashallah. Beautiful. Awareness and having these discussions with family, friends, and the community at large. 1,000%. MashaAllah. We're gonna move on to the reminders. I'll read this one last one and then we'll move on. Remembering that this is a disease and connecting with Allah. That's a beautiful, beautiful way to end it. MashaAllah. And then we'll get into the announcements. So Brother Hussein just stepped out, so we'll come back to this one. And let's see. This is our newsletter. If you guys want to keep up with Somali Health Board events, Brother Hussein is back, mashallah. Okay, so I'm going to hand the mic over to Hussein to talk about tomorrow's event and also Rahma Recovery.
Thank you so much. Tomorrow we're having overdose awareness day. As you guys know, might not know, August is an overdose awareness month. And the 30th and the 31st of August are usually the International Overdose Awareness Days. This day tomorrow, the event is being hosted by me and our, more than just our physical sponsor, but our also who have become our parent organization, Living Well Kent, right? Somali Health Board has been one of the first ones to believe in us, have supported us. You know, give them a hand. You know, I've always shared this story. Dr. Ahmed Ali was the first person that wrote me a letter of recognition. But there are other organizations, MAC Foundation, my sister Rahma, Jazakallah khair for all the support you have given me, all the platforms, you know what I mean, the places you invited me to. May Allah reward you. And I'm always going to be here for you and your family, 100%. You can count on me. Tomorrow, it is more than just an awareness day. It's a day to come and show each other's faces. You will see people that you have a lot in common with. You'll see people who have lost members of their family to an overdose, and you have seen the ones that almost died from an overdose. And we're going to teach you on how to use Narcan. There'll be a lot of resources. Just come out there and support the organization in any way that you can. We're not asking for, funding or donations or anything like that, right? This is about the community. It's a community day. It's an overdose awareness day. Bring everybody that you can. I'll share the information. I think he put it up there, right? The event. Perfect. Everybody, that's the address. Please just show up, support. And more than anything else, just come with an open heart and open mind and learning about overdose and how to prevent it. And come to the table where we're teaching you how to use Narcan. How to actually, understand when someone is going through an overdose and how to assess that situation and how to use a Narcan and how to, after you revive them, what to do, because there are steps to take afterwards. There are steps that you can take that can put them in danger, that they can, actually risk their life even worse than the overdose, or there are steps that you can take to actually prevent that. So come to the table. There'll be some mannequins. I'll be there. Abdurrazak will be there. It will be us, the guys from the sober living home, and myself. I from going to the farm to going to the farmers market to doing these events, I lead by example, because I don't expect them to do anything more than what I do, right? So come and support us, please, and support the community. Yes. Oh yeah. Today was a harvest day. We'll have some fresh produce. Come to the Raham Recovery Center farmers market table and get yourself some healthy, organic grown fruits and vegetables from us. There you go. You get double your money. Yes. Jazakallah khair. And Living Well Kent, you know what I mean? Mama Shamso, everybody over there, they don't do it. They don't do it. They've been doing this for over 2 decades. They don't do it for the recognition. They do it for the real stuff, man. I love them the same way that I love everybody else over here. And thank you guys for coming. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being behind this movement. Addiction is a disease. Stop the stigma. That's the movement.
Thank you so much, Hussein. I want to give a special thanks to our panelists and express our gratitude for coming up here and being vulnerable and speaking with us. And I want to thank every single person that came today to be part of this conversation. It means a lot, and it shows how much you care. Thank you guys, all of you, for coming today, and inshallah we'll have more community conversations like this.